Okay, fuck that. We're just gonna go
I was
back.
gonna say, just go
show.
straight to it. Let's go. It's like, why are we waiting? Well,
Oh.
everybody, hope you're here. Thanks for joining us. We had, like I said, a little bit of technical difficulties. For some reason, the local recording is on, and Dave's internet cannot handle that.
It's Monday. Yeah, recording and live streaming all at the same time. It's like
we can barely like. I remember when we had the what was it? The fire crackling in the background that was like making us lag on the Christmas stream, and I was like, yeah we can barely stream anything.
I wonder if it's just not the streamer, like the stream,
the hosting website. Yeah, maybe that's a good point. It's a very good point. But
no,
gosh, yeah. So, but yeah, back again. It's 8:10. It's a fresh stream. We're a minute in. It's great.
Oh man. So anyway,
yeah. Obviously, the captions and everything still stay the same. Probably not.
We well, the title and everything's going to be the same. I just got to go in and delete that.
Oh, okay. Just change it all out. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna change as well. Share.
Yeah. But, yeah, dude. This week been a lot. I've been paying attention to a lot of drama and stuff on Facebook Facebook and YouTube. And I made a post about like all this crap. Like, there's so much drama going on. Like, it's ridiculous.
Todd being Snoop D-O-double what G.
Well, I've been watching like some of these debunker videos and yeah, there's just so much crap, and we're
suck.
Like, there's people. I made a post on Facebook about it, and then some people were commenting. He's like, "Ooh, spill the tea." I'm like,
no,
it's not my drama. It ain't my drama. I'm drama free.
No, I won't spill the tea. No,
but
drama free, I
am drama free.
What?
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
We're both named Joseph Merrick.
Huh?
What? Our names are Joseph Merrick.
Oh. I hate when it defaults like that.
Me too.
My name is Joseph Merrick.
It changed. You're just going to stay Joseph Merrick. Screw it. Why not?
Oh, that's the name I chose. I was like, I got to do the whole name thing again.
Yeah.
But I'm going to see if anybody knows who this is without looking it up.
That's fair. Side note, obviously weak meh because of sickness, right? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just been, well, the sickness it really hit today. Yesterday it was weird. This weekend's been weird. I've just been pissed off at work. Now, I don't know if it's like really anything. It doesn't really have anything to do with work. It's just more of like, I don't want to be there.
Facts.
I want to be filming. I like my job. Don't get me wrong. I like the place I work at. I like the people I work with. But I'd like to be filming. I'd like to be out on the road. I'd like to be doing things and
doing things and stuff and things.
Yeah, and as it is right now, like every time I have money, I'm purchasing things. So I bought a laptop.
Always.
Something that I could take on the road with me in May, so I can transport like all my videos and stuff. I can just go ahead and put it on my external hard drive, which is a big mamma jamma. So
good.
Did that every week or every other paycheck. I'm just like buying something here and there to
gearing up for a big trip, my guy.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Jake. Appreciate that, bud.
Appreciate the like. So yeah, that's all I've been doing this week is just kind of getting in touch with some people. I'm getting a new hat. You guys are going to be seeing me in a new hat here soon. Yeah. Dark round.
Retiring the Bills hat, eh? I need to get me a new did I say Bills? Bears hat.
Oh,
I know.
You okay?
No, I'm not.
Are you wearing a Bills hat?
No, I'm wearing a Chiefs hat. I need to get a new one. You know, it's a little old. It's last year's Super Bowl hat. I feel like I need a new one.
For a second there, it looked bluish.
No, because the red and probably the blue light.
A little tight.
Well, I just need a new Super Bowl hat when that happens.
When it happens? Yes.
I'm not rooting for the Eagles. Why would I root for the Eagles, right?
Why would you?
Why would you root for the Eagles? NFCer?
Saquon. That's
We're
why I'm
doing
green.
We're going to stop
green.
If we can stop Alan Jackson, and then whoever the Bills' big runner is.
We can say Alan Jackson.
I said
country music singer.
No, I said we can stop Jackson. Or sorry, did I say Jackson?
Yeah, you said Alan Jackson.
Maybe I'm not okay, dude. Did I have a stroke? Jeez. No, not Alan Jackson. What is his name? The quarterback, Josh Allen. Jeez, Alan Jackson.
Josh Allen's on the Bills.
Josh Allen. Yeah, if we could stop Josh Allen, and
you're not playing Josh Allen. You're playing Jalen Hurts.
If we can stop Josh Allen from last week's game or 2 weeks game ago, we're going to be fine.
Yeah, as long as the refs make that call.
They will. Maybe not. Who knows?
I know you guys get tired of hearing that shit.
Dude, and I hate it every time it happens too. It's just like, oh, great. There's another one for people to be like, oh, the refs love the Chiefs, man.
Right.
Yeah. So you think 31 other owners were like, yeah, let's let the Chiefs win, guys.
We're gonna put money on that game.
Like, that was stupid. Yeah. It's just
I do kind of want to put money on that game just to.
Oh, I probably will, but
bet on the Chiefs.
Well, I mean, so my thing is like
a sure thing.
I could definitely believe that maybe there's some like things with the refs, like the refs are swaying it one way or another, but I don't think the teams are included on the cheating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't see the whole league being in cahoots with each other and being like, I mean, unless they all think they're going to make more money out of it, which maybe, but they're still wasting a ton of money too on players.
Yeah.
So it just depends. But yeah, I'm still gonna obviously root for the Chiefs. Like, duh. I'm just happy they made it to their location. Okay. Jeez.
All right. So Jerry asked, before you start, question. You guys know my shit cloud is not left. That's not the question. Has anyone else noticed this year how many dead flies in your house, or is this just my depression? I haven't noticed. I've noticed like it really, we haven't had like a solid winter to kill all the bugs.
That's not true. Well, maybe for you guys, we did. Holy crap, did we?
I mean, we had one good snowfall.
I'm not even saying snowfall. We got down to like -15, -20 up here.
Well,
like feels like was horrible up here.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm getting ready to get into is like,
that's fair.
It's been pretty cold. We had one good snow, but it's not enough to kill off all the bugs. But flies don't give a shit. They'll come out in the cold and then they'll die because it's cold.
Apparently, I'm not seeing chats.
Fun.
So that's great. So I was going to go click off the answers or the thing that Jerry made, but I'm in stream and private. And I don't see anything or either one.
That's weird.
That's great.
Well, Cassie says good evening.
Am I a member? Good evening, Cassie. Did you see by chance? I don't know. What was it? Oh, gosh darn it. The laser video I sent you? The laser stuff?
I was at work when you sent it, so I haven't had a chance to watch it.
Okay.
I'll watch it after this.
You should. So the U.S. military, I can't remember. I think it's the Navy. I could be wrong. Showed off some laser weapon testing.
Ooh.
Helios, I think it's what it's called. Could be wrong. But I thought at first, because I saw the video and I was like, I don't know. It could be, fake. And then people were sharing articles to videos 2 years ago calling it the same thing, same kind of testing. And I'm just like, maybe this is real.
Yeah,
so I sent it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, as far as the laser stuff goes, like I remember watching like a UFO kind of conspiracy show.
Yeah.
They were talking about Area 52.
Oh.
And they were talking to this cop that was responding to some mutilations that were occurring near this location. And he said he was examining a horse that had been mutilated.
Ew.
And all of a sudden, a beam shoots up from the base straight up into the sky.
Oh.
Like this big, I dare call a laser beam.
I dare say a laser.
But he said it shot up into the sky and it stayed there for about a minute and then it shut off.
Weird.
Yeah. So like,
we need to get some of that prime beef.
Obviously, they've been playing with lasers for a long time, but
like
to what extent now?
Yes.
Well,
this is a laser coming from a battleship, like a military.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's what. Just making sure that's where you're going with that. But yeah,
like I mean, the stuff they're doing with lasers now is
Yeah.
insane, and also has applicable properties for the paranormal, because I mean, carry audio with it.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, isn't it? Plasma.
Yeah,
plasma. Just can straight up
carry
sound.
Whoa, stop, guys. Charles said fuck.
I didn't. I said fuck.
No, you said fuck.
I said fuck. I stopped myself.
We're gonna have to run the playback on this.
Yeah, I almost said it. It was that close. Yeah, so it's been interesting to see. I wonder how much in these next 4 years, like how much text is gonna come out, how far we've advanced to things. I'm hoping. He did. Come on, Heather.
Gotcha.
Darn it. She did.
Gotcha, bitch.
Dude, I don't even see how many people are watching the video. What is going on?
Well,
my stuff is all meshed up. Was this all YouTube or Facebook so far?
YouTube. Carl Alberson said hello from Facebook.
Hey, Carl. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for saying hi.
All right, guys. So we all know why.
This is going to be a long. Well, it's going to be
last week was long.
We went. Well, yeah, but last show, each one was like freaking insanely big freaking articles.
We're gonna try not to do that so much.
Yeah.
But tonight we're gonna be talking about the suspects of the Ripper murders. If you want to see information about all the victims, you watch last week's show, and then also like it, give it a thumbs up. Now give this one a thumbs up too. Hey, what's up, man?
Here's the other thing too. There was also, hey buddy, there was some advancements, and I'm not going to say who, in a specific suspect. Should we talk about that in this show?
We'll talk about it this show.
All right, cool. When we get to his name, I'll talk about it.
All right. Actually, let's bring that up at the end.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's save him for the last one.
Save it for
Do you know which one it is by chance?
I believe so.
I'll just say the last name. So that way you know. It's weird. It starts with a K.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But yeah, last show was long-winded. Fuck. You okay? You need the website?
No, I've got the website. It's just like it like because I'm running both the stream on one side and the website on the other side on a single thing. Like it changed the format of the website.
Weird. On there.
Wait, you said it started with a K?
His last name, yes.
Oh, that's victims. Stupid.
Suspects. All the suspects were women.
Okay. Yeah, the Unabomber one.
Sure. We'll go with that.
He was also the Unabomber, guys, in case you didn't know.
I didn't know that.
Ted Kaczynski.
Also starred in what was the show? Oh, it was the soccer show. Gosh darn it, I can't think of it. Oh well.
There you go, Charles.
Krasinski's the guy I was thinking of. By the way, the navy yellow beam, same as Dean Martin, Matt Helm movie. Navy yellow. Helio beam. Yeah, nice. Thank you. Appreciate that. Can we stop? Okay, Jerry, thank you. Same as the Dean Martin, Matt Helm movie. I need to check that movie out. Check it out. Because that's, I mean, you're getting into space lasers. I'm just saying. On sheeps. I'm ready for nuclear fusion. It's coming, dude. It's coming.
All right. Well, let's get into this.
Yes.
I'll let you.
All right. I'm going to start with Thomas Cutbush. That's weird, but okay. So Thomas Cutbush, Broadmoor Files. Oh, and by the way, just as last week, I do want to preface that all the information we are pulling from is from the website jacktheripper.org. So
yes.
In November 2008, the files of Thomas Cutbush were made public at the Reading Records Office. Wow, that long? Jeez. Okay. Where these files, that makes JFK seem like nothing. Where these files don't contain any earth-shattering revelations that directly link Thomas Cutbush with Jack the Ripper's killings. They certainly provide an intriguing insight into a man who is evidently a favored media suspect in the mid-1980s. Cutbush was named as Jack the Ripper in a series of articles that appeared in the Sun newspaper in February of 1894. The articles went into great detail about the Whitechapel murder, although they didn't actually name Cutbush in those articles.
Right?
Weird. As a result of those articles, Melville McNaughton, composed his memorandum, which for many years formed the basis for Jack the Ripper's research. Oh, interesting. In the memorandum, McNaughton states emphatically, that the Whitechapel murderer had 5 victims and 5 victims only. It is a result of this statement that we have our so-called canonical 5: Mary Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Kelly. McNaughton also provides a great deal of argument to support the fact that the Sun article was wrong and that Thomas Cutbush was not Jack the Ripper. As a result, Cutbush has long been dismissed as a serious contender for the mantle of the Whitechapel murderer. McNaughton's 3 likelier suspects were M.J. Druitt, Michael Ostrog, and Kosminski. Interestingly, he is wrong about many things he says about every one of these 3 men. Tell us why. But as a result of his musings, more often has been paid over the years to these 3 suspects than has been paid to Thomas Cutbush. I'm just saying, I really think a Brit wrote this because the sentence structure is so hard to follow.
Yes.
So I do apologize to everyone for my horrible reading, just because the sentence structure is really tough.
Maybe you should read it with an English accent.
Maybe. We'll see if I can pull one out of my Dukas right now.
Go the Valley Girl.
I just want to go with Scottish. What Cutbush brought the motor?
It'd probably make more sense too.
It probably would, actually. Or you could go with your oh gosh, what is the I'm trying to think of where the Beatles used to perform, like early in the days. Liverpool. Anyways,
Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird, right? So, having faithfully transcribed the Thomas Cutbush files at the Record Office, I would like to present below the information that those files contain. The intention here is not to accuse Thomas of being Jack the Ripper, but rather to put on record the known information about him. Jeez. 1 point disproved. The files most certainly disprove one thing that both the Sun article and McNaughton wrote about in the memorandum. The Sun article claimed that Cutbush had caught venereal disease from a prostitute, and that the resulting delusions were that is what led him to kill the prostitutes. Delusions were what led him to, yeah. McNaughton conceded that Cutbush had apparently contracted syphilis about 1888, and since at that time he led an idle and useless life. His brain seems to have become affected, and he believed that people were trying to poison him. Well, that sucks. Paranoid. Lay off the weed, bruh. However, Cutbush admission, documents, and his asylum records make no mention of syphilis or venereal disease. You'd think that would be important in the documents.
Yeah.
Indeed, the records of criminal lunatic number X32007, Thomas Cutbush, state that the cause of his insanity was hereditary, whilst also mentioning that, according to his aunt, Clara Hayne, the cause was overstudy. A danger, right? A danger to this.
No, you just had me thinking about this little skit where the police were looking for somebody, and they were like on dispatch, and they had caught the guy, and they're like, could you give us a description of the suspect? And they're like, he's a 6-foot male, brown hair, Caucasian, probably gay. He's like,
Caucasian,
what?
Probably gay. What? Gay? What? Just how it goes sometimes, I guess. Right?
They just like kept poking fun at him about.
No, that's great.
Being gay when he's not. Like that's the whole venereal thing. Just kind of.
It'd be funny if he was wearing like an NFL shirt and it was like the rival enemy. So if he was like a Chiefs fan, he'd be like, he's probably a Broncos fan. He's like, what the fuck? I'm definitely not a Broncos fan.
Not a Broncos fan.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So this is one of the reports. It was from April 22nd, 1894. Is that he was becoming demented, dirty, and degraded in habits, stubborn, unoccupied, and silent. Makes grimace and attitudinesses.
Okay.
Didn't know that was a word. When addressed, physical health satisfactory.
All right then.
A little weird, but okay. Another report said that he struck another patient, Gilbert Cooper, suddenly and without cause whilst in the gallery. He states that Cooper caught hold of him at the back of the neck with his fingers. Then, this the attendant.
Yeah, okay.
Dude, do you know how to write? Anyways, will not speak to me or explain the reason for doing so in any way. Stated at first the Cooper annoyed him. If very dull, excitable, uncontrollable, and has the appearance of an imbecile. He just called him an idiot.
Probably was.
Yep. Let's see. So another report is that he was violent and very destructive at times, is generally dull and apathetic, and makes no attempt to answer when spoken to, appears to be an imbecile.
Okay.
Dude was an idiot.
All right. So they're like, so basically they're like, there's no way he could have done it.
Yeah. So I don't see, I guess exact. Well, you know, who else was too stupid that he couldn't take any, responsibility for doing it.
Read.
I would say the last 4 years, but okay, sure. Takes like years before it affects the brain, more than 8, I think. Wow.
Just look at
no thanks.
Al Capone.
Oh yeah, he did have syphilis, didn't he?
He did.
Wow.
All right, another suspect was McNaughton's favored suspect, Montague John Druitt.
I like it.
What's that?
I said I like it.
You like it? He was the favored suspect of Melville McNaughton. Druitt worked as a barrister and supplemented his income at the bar by a barista. Maybe that's what it was.
Barista?
Not barista.
Nah, probably barista, which is probably
barista,
something like that.
Is a boy.
Male and female, whatever.
He's a they, them. Supplemented his income at the bar by working as an assistant schoolmaster at a boarding school in Blackheath, southeast London, that was run by Mr. George Valentine. In his memoranda, McNaughton lists 3 suspects whom he claims were far more likely than Thomas Cutbush to have been Jack the Ripper. Top of that list is a Mr. M.J. Druitt, who McNaughton describes as having been a doctor of about 41 years of age and of fairly good family, who disappeared at the time of the Miller's Court murder, and whose body was found floating in the Thames on the 31st of December, i.e., 7 weeks after the said murder.
Wow.
The body was said to have been in the water for a month or more. From private information, I have little doubt, but that his own family suspected this man of being the Whitechapel murderer. It was alleged that he was sexually insane. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go with that. That's going to be my excuse for anything I do at work.
You're sexually insane.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sexually insane.
Jeez. He's been diagnosed for a long time. Anyways.
It just means HR's on the other line.
Oh, gosh. You got a job.
So, at the end of November of 1888, for reasons that have never been satisfactorily established, Druitt was suddenly dismissed from the school. A month later, on the 31st, his body was found floating. On January 5th of 1889, the local newspaper reported on the inquest into Druitt's death and quoted the testimony of his brother. I'm not going to read the quote.
Yeah.
Because we already said he was sexually insane. The jury at the inquest into his death duly returned a verdict of suicide by drowning. So they said he killed himself by drowning.
That's a bit suspicious.
Yeah. Oh, he drowned. Oh, he must have done it to himself.
Oh, we found this guy at the bottom of the ocean with concrete strapped to his ankles. He must have killed himself.
Yeah, stupid idiot.
Weird. Why would you do that? That,
Thought
that scratch and sniff sticker doesn't work down there?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
These boots were made for sinking,
God.
and that's just what they'll do.
Maybe he got a little too close with one of the nurses, and they were like, "Nah, you gotta go, bro." And just cut you off. Anyways.
All right.
Which, I mean, what makes sense with the prostitutes? That makes sense.
Anyways. So why was he a suspect?
Yes. Great
On the face of it, Druitt makes a strong suspect for the mantle of Jack the Ripper, and the fact that Melville McNaughton favored him as a suspect most certainly makes the case against him a compelling one, because he was sexually insane. Furthermore, the timing of his suicide would explain why the murders ceased after Mary Kelly was found dead in Miller's Court. Then, of course, there is McNaughton's assertion that Druitt's own family believed him to be the Ripper.
Wow.
On this, yeah, can you imagine, like, your family just turns around like, nope, you are a murderer. You're a serial killer. You killed all those women. That's you. And you're like, I was just having dinner. I thought we were having a good time. Were we not having a good time?
Just because I pay for sex doesn't mean I'm going to kill them afterwards, okay?
Yeah. I mean, I got my money back, but... However...
Too soon? Is that too soon?
On closer inspection, the case against Druitt begins to fall apart. McNaughton makes several fundamental errors in the information he provides about Druitt. Firstly, he is 10 years out with regards to Druitt's age, as Druitt was in fact 31, not 41 when he died. Secondly, although several of his family members were doctors, Druitt emphatically was not. Yeah.
He was a lawyer.
McNaughton's statement that, quote unquote, the murderer's brain gave way altogether after his awful glut in Miller's Court, and that he immediately committed suicide. Most certainly did not apply to Druitt. Indeed, his mind was sound enough in the days that followed the murder of Mary Kelly for him to be actively pursuing his career as a lawyer. Furthermore, he continued to work as a teacher at Valentine's School until his dismissal at the end of November, some 3 weeks after the death of Mary Kelly. Since he probably committed suicide around that time, it would seem likely that he killed himself in reaction to the dismissal. The most compelling evidence for Druitt's guilt is most certainly the fact that his own family apparently believed him to have been the murderer.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
So that's the only thing they're going on. But on closer inspection, even this claim does not stand up to close scrutiny, as it appears to be based on hearsay as opposed to hard evidence.
That's probably why he killed himself.
Yeah,
because his family hated him. Apparently,
I would assume. I mean, if they just
wouldn't that be shitty if you found out that it's like, yeah, there's no way he could be the killer. Wow, we're a piece of shit.
Yeah,
we thought our own family member was good. They just excommunicated him, and he was like, well, no point in me living anymore. Everybody thinks I'm a murderer and my sexual deviancies.
Maybe that's how you got your venereal diseases.
I mean,
scumbag.
There was no way to cure it, so... Oh, wait, there still isn't.
It's because you got a little dick.
Oh, I'm killing myself.
What? That came out of nowhere.
Well, I got nothing for that, so I guess I'm just going to go jump in the river. You guys have my affairs in order? All right, cool.
All right.
What, you were planning it? All right.
There's a will?
So, Inspector Aberline didn't suspect him. And this is the biggest objection to Druitt as a viable suspect, is that Inspector Aberline most certainly didn't think he could have been the Ripper. He said in an interview with Pall Mall Gazette in 1903, as saying, I know all about that story, but what does it amount to? Simply this. Soon after the last murder in Whitechapel, the body of a young doctor was found in the Thames, but there's absolutely nothing beyond the fact that he was found at that time to incriminate him.
Weird. Pall Mall, that's cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
Spelled the same way too?
Do what?
Spelled the same way too?
Yeah.
Wow.
So finally, nothing that is known about Druitt suggests that he ever visited Whitechapel, nor that he had any knowledge of the area. As a result of McNaughton's suspicion, Druitt is high up on the list of Ripper suspects. Yet the case against him is dependent on McNaughton possessing more information than he wished to reveal, and which he claimed to have destroyed so as not to cause uproar.
Huh.
Yeah. Druitt may have been Jack the Ripper, but equally, he may have simply been a tragic figure who, in taking his own life at around the same time the murders ended, ensured that his name came to the attention of the police as they sought solution to the fate of the Whitechapel murderer.
I wonder, this kind of sounds like, okay. This is my issue with
Cover up. We were talking cover up earlier.
Well, but I mean, also
last week,
to the point of if someone blames somebody for something they didn't do and the law clearly doesn't work, or people just jump to the conclusion, and then that person's life is completely ruined.
Yeah.
This dude's life was essentially, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was a freaking sexual addict or whatever you want to call it. But also, his life's essentially ruined.
Well, here, we were talking about how we thought maybe this had something to do with the police department.
Oh, yeah.
How coincidental is that a body turns up and we put him at the top of our list, even though we don't have any proof.
Oswald.
Anyway.
On the nose, right? On the nose. And that one.
Next one up.
Next we're going to go with Michael Ostrog. Just Ostrog.
Ostrog.
Yep. What McNaughton said, according to the Melville McNaughton memoranda, Michael Ostrog was a Russian doctor and a convict who was subsequently detained in a lunatic asylum for homicidal maniac.
Facts.
Interesting. Here. Okay. This man's antecedents were of the worst possible type, and his what?
I was going to say random fact of the week here.
Go.
Pall Mall was a 16th and 17th century game in which a boxwood ball was driven through an iron ring suspended at the end of a long alley. It was also the Gazette, Pall Mall Gazette.
And cigarettes.
Yep.
All right. So he was a Russian and a homicidal maniac in an asylum. Got it. So Mike Myers, got it. This man's antecedents were of the worst type possible, and his whereabouts at the time of the murders could never be ascertained. A likely story. I bet the chief was like, hey, let's possibly pin it on someone who's a homicidal maniac. As with the other names that McNaughton included on his list, Ostrog seems a likely contender for the mantle of Jack the Ripper. That's what I'm saying. They're all likely suspects, right? They're all likely types of characteristics. How easy would it be for police to cover up something with very likely suspects? Oh, we never caught the guy. What a shame.
Especially at a time where forensics wasn't a big thing then.
Literally.
So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's pretty crazy. It's weird. So, but again, McNaughton appears to have known surprisingly little about yet another of his suspects. Wow, imagine that. Huh?
It's like he was just throwing darts at a board.
Weird. Who's crazy that we can blame this on? All right, Ostrog was.
Look at that jerk off walking down the street. Let's just blame it on him.
Ostrog was was a petty thief and a con artist who adult years consisted of several long periods of incarceration. His only recorded act of violence, however, in a long criminal career was that he was arrested in 1873 by Police Superintendent Thomas Oswald. Coincidence?
Even your mic couldn't believe it.
I know, right? What? That was crazy. Good timing. What? Amazing. What? It's like the monocle just like dropping.
Oh, we got it. OJ did it.
What?
OJ did it.
OJ did it. It's always OJ, definitely.
You must quit.
Right. So the superintendent Thomas Oswald, on whom he pulled a revolver at the police station. What? One newspaper described Ostrog as having a clever head, a good education, and polished manners. This doesn't sound like a homicidal maniac.
Right. Well, I don't know. I mean, look at crap. What's his name? The one that was a lawyer that killed a bunch of women.
Oh yeah, fair point. I don't know who you're talking about, but fair point.
You say you don't know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head.
Was it not Ted Bundy? What?
Oh, the good-looking one. Well, the women were like, "Oh my god, he's so
Is that Ted Bundy?
handsome." I think it was Bundy.
I'm so like brain farting.
Curly
But
hair.
anyway, there was dude was like
Pretty sure it was Ted Bundy.
smooth. He was really smooth with the ladies.
Yeah, pretty sure it was Ted Bundy. All right, so, and he was observed that, and it was observed that he would be certain to succeed in almost any honest life to which he might devote himself, but who, nevertheless, is an inveterate criminal. Well, that sucks.
All right.
Following a particularly harsh prison sentence of almost 10 years for pilfering a few books and a silver cup, my guess is stealing, the total worth of which were no more than 5 English something or other, I don't know, pence, pounds, whatever the heck that sign is, Ostrog was released on the 28th of August in 1883. Damn, 10 years for just stealing a cup and a few books.
Yeah.
He at least kept his arm, right? Some places here, that arm's gone. Or death. But in 1887, he was up to his old tricks, and he stole a metal tankard from the Royal Military Academy at Woolwich. What are you doing? It's the Royal Military Academy, my guy. How stupid can you be?
I don't care.
Apprehended after a chase, he was arrested and committed for a trial at the Central Criminal Court, or Old Bailey. Okay. Sure. Oh, I get to reading. It's when I don't have enough oxygen in my brain. It's the same with singing, right? You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's stupid, freaking dumb. But by the 18, but yeah, right, exactly. No, I already read that. During his trial, he began to show signs of insanity, and here's the switch. And despite the belief of several police officers and doctors that he was shamming it,
Slumping.
Shamming.
Oh.
Like he's a sham. He was certified insane and transferred to the Shuri Pauper Lunatic Asylum in Tooting.
All right.
Where his occupation was registered as a Jewish surgeon.
Oh, okay.
Yep, don't know why that matters, but okay. I guess Jews have a different anatomy compared to other people.
He's a foreskin remover.
Oh.
He's the peeler.
That's good. Hey, hold this back for me. Oh, God, sorry. My mic couldn't take it.
Just roll this back here. And,
all right. That's so messed up. He would be discharged on the 10th of March in 1888. Only a year later. And as far as the police, to whom he was to report regularly, as a condition of his release, where concerned, you're making me laugh too much. That's what it is. We're concerned he disappeared without a trace. So basically, he just straight up disappeared. All right, awesome.
We just lost an insane person.
Dude, for real.
Who happens to be a doctor.
That's criminals. Never mind. I'm gonna say that. Yeah, right. It's nuts. Who else is a doctor and is also insane?
Dre.
H.H. Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
Later that year, at the height of the Ripper Scare, when the consensus among the police detectives was that they were looking for a lunatic with medical knowledge, they began looking into into all asylum releases that might coincide with the start of the murders. And who else has a bunch of medical knowledge?
Kevorkian.
Jack the Ripper.
Ooh.
Sorry, H.H. Holmes. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Al
Bundy. Nice part. Nice. I love that show. Funny show. All right. Let's see. Breathe for a second. Get it all back, right?
Yeah.
It may have been this search that brought Ostrog's name into the investigation, and which later encouraged McNaughton to include. I want to just say McNaughton, like like Bart said.
McLovin.
No, McNutton. It's funnier. So he brought him in to be a suspect. Ostrog's failure to report to the police led to his name and description being pushed in the Police Gazette on the 26th. They even had their own newspaper. That's wild. The description concluded with the warning that special attention is called to this dangerous subject. Or man, whatever. So this was 1893. Okay, cool. Following another appeal in the Police Gazette, Ostrog was apprehended on 17th of April, 1891. Just say April 17th of 1891. How hard is it? It's 17th April, 1891.
I'd love to see you have like this argument back and forth with like a
Dude,
British
I would
person.
too. I'd love it too. I think it'd be great. Actually, I just love a British person to read this and see if they make any sense of it. Significantly, Melville McNaughton asked the like, why are you repeating full things? Like, we get it the first and second time. Anyways, significantly, the Melville McNaughton sounds like a newspaper, asked the medical officer at Banstead to inform the police if Ostrog was discharged. This happened in 1893, and he promptly returned to his life of thievery, resulting in several more prison terms. I'm not really going to get into more of it, but let's just say he basically disappeared. Like he was last heard, right? He was last heard of being released from prison under a license on September 17th, 1904, after which he just disappears from records. So he basically probably just either got straight or died.
Yeah, I think he just
died.
Yeah, just left.
Or he suicided himself.
This next one's pretty intriguing.
All right.
So
which one are you doing?
We are doing George Chapman.
Yep. Okay.
This was potentially Inspector Aberline's favorite suspect. Severin Klozowski qualified as a junior surgeon in Poland in 1887. Later that year or early the next, he came to London and found work as an assistant hairdresser. How do you go from a surgeon to a hairdresser?
Don't ask me. I don't know. I don't like your insides, but I like your outsides.
Maybe he's coming out. In October of 1889, he married Lucy Battersky. And by 1890...
I am spicy tonight, Cassie.
It was... Charles.
I'm not seeing the chats in live time because I just can't see chats for some reason. So I'm trying to keep up with the YouTube live stream and Facebook live stream because I'm reading. And so the time I have to go back and read them is when I'm not reading. So
I mean, he did say fuck tonight. So anyway, in October so he got married, and by 1889 or 1890, he was working at a barber shop in the basement of the White Hart pub in George Yard off of Whitechapel High Street. So he's in the area. This is the first one we've come across that was like actually in the area.
Oh, that's good.
The couple moved to America in 1891, where he established himself as a barber in Jersey City. Following a violent argument, a now pregnant Lucy returned to England, where on the May 15th of 1892, she gave birth to a baby girl. Congratulations. A few weeks later, Klozowski also returned to London, and the couple were briefly reunited.
Mike Wazowski. Sorry.
But in 1893, he found another woman, coincidentally named Annie Chapman. Nice. And they lived together until she left him in 1894.
I was going to say happily ever after, but clearly not.
No. Klozowski, however, acquired a lasting keepsake from the relationship. Her head. No.
Oh, God.
Turned dark really fast.
I was going to say, whoa.
No, he adopted her name, and from then on, he was known as George Chapman.
Old George.
That's probably the first case of the man taking the woman's name. His next lover was Mary Spink, who he claimed to have married. However, she died on Christmas Day of 1897. Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to make a joke. It's pretty dark. His next wife, Bessie Taylor. Like, what better gift could you get?
Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah. His next wife, man, this guy was getting it on. His next wife, Bessie Taylor, fared a little better and died on the 13th of February, 1901. Noticing a pattern? Are we noticing a pattern yet?
Yeah, definitely.
Unperturbed, Chapman married again. Like, how stupid do these women have to be? Oh yeah, like my last 4 or 5 wives died.
Did he lie to them and not mention anything about his exes? Maybe.
Probably, but I mean, just think about it. Yeah, I've been married like 6 times. They're all dead.
I'm just saying, if people can be like, no, I'm not married, babe. Guaranteed, like, no, you're my first one, I swear.
You're my first, my last, my everything. All right. Unperturbed, Chapman married again, but when his wife, Maud Marsh, who also died on the 22nd of October,
she's got to be a suspect, dude.
Her family sought the opinion of their own doctor, who became suspicious.
Yeah.
The bodies of his first 2 wives were exhumed and significant traces of poison were found.
Ooh.
Yeah. Chapman was arrested, found guilty of murder, and was executed on the 7th of April in 1903. Following his conviction, there were suggestions in the press that he might also have been responsible for the Whitechapel murders. So a journalist from the Pall Mall Gazette sought the opinion of the by then retired Inspector Frederick George Aberline. Aberline admitted that he had never harbored any suspicions against Chapman in relation to Jack the Ripper until Attorney General had made his opening statement at his trial. Since then, however, he had been so struck with the remarkable coincidences in the 2 series of murders that he had not been able to think of anything else for several days past. The Gazette quoted Aberline as observing that there are a score of things which make one believe that Chapman is the man. These include his having studied surgery and the Whitechapel murders having been, according to Aberline, the work of an expert surgeon. Aberline was also struck by the facts that Klosowski, his arrival in England, coincided with the beginnings of the murders, that on arrival he lodged in George Yard, where the first murder was committed, and that the murders ceased in London when Chapman went to America, while similar murders began to be perpetrated in America after he landed there. So this is like the whole H.H. Holmes reversed. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
You look sad.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. So however, Aberline is wrong in a lot of what he says about Chapman.
Okay.
Although Chapman did have surgical training, there's considerable debate over whether or not the Ripper possessed surgical knowledge, and the murders cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, be described as the work of an expert surgeon. I mean, you saw the photos of that last one.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. They didn't need to be an expert surgeon.
Yeah. Although Chapman arrived in London around the time that the murders began, so did thousands of other immigrants. Chapman didn't begin working in the White Hart pub in George Yard until 1890, around 2 years after the first murder. Although the murders did cease once Chapman had left for America, this could easily have been a coincidence. However, no similar series of murders coincided with his arrival there. So was he Jack the Ripper? The major objection against Chapman has to be that a killer who could brutally eviscerate his victims with the frenzied violence shown by Jack the Ripper is highly unlikely to have turned to wife poisoning as a means of venting his homicidal fury. Despite Aberline's contention that a man who could watch his wives being slowly tortured to death by poison, as he did, was capable of anything. It seems unlikely that Chapman was Jack the Ripper. Yeah, that's something I was going to say, was like the way he killed his wives doesn't line up to the behavior.
How brutal this is.
Yeah, the brutality and the behaviors of Jack the Ripper. So, you know, I would
it's a slow killing.
Yes. Hello, Clarice.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't say this was him either. I just read him off. I'd say it was a guy who didn't like the same chick over and over and over again.
Got tired of the VJ.
I guess. Something like that.
All right. Who we got next?
Dr. Francis Tumblety.
Tumblety?
That's an interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, One of the more talked about recent Jack the Ripper suspects is Dr. Francis Tumblety, whose name was suggested by Inspector Littlechild. Prior to and during the Jack the Ripper murders,
That name, dude, Little Child. Come on.
No, I was laughing that instead of Chief, I almost said Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
Jeff Inspector John Littlechild. Chief Inspector John Littlechild was head of the Metropolitan Police Special Irish Branch. That's an Irish name. Interesting. Well, it makes sense, actually. That makes total sense now. It's a post that he held for a while. Although Littlechild, as far as is currently known, had very little to do with the Jack the Ripper investigation itself. As a high-ranking police officer in the Metropolitan Police, he most certainly would have had frequent contact with the likes of Dr. Robert Anderson and Chief Inspector Swanson. George Sims writes to Littlechild, in 1913, the journalist George Sims was sniffing around for information on Jack the Ripper's suspects. He duly wrote to John Littlechild to ask if he had any knowledge of a Dr. D being suspect of having committed the Whitechapel murders. Dr. D! Weird.
Are you saying that a little child may have committed the murders?
No, Littlechild was the police person, not... That's messed up. Sorry.
You're a little child.
Dude, I got that movie that I sent you on my brain. I showed that to my cousin last night. He's like, dude, what the did I watch? I'm like, yeah, I gotta watch this sometime, dude. Little Toes. Or no, Tiptoes. That's what it was. I gotta watch that, man. It looks so funny. It's great. All right. Should have called it Tippy Toes. Anyways, Sims was evidently referring to the Ripper suspect, Montague John Druitt, whose name, for at least the hints of it, had been circulating through the police circles for the previous the previous 15 or so years. Quack the Ripper. Interesting. Littlechild wrote back to say that he had never heard of a Dr. D ever having been mentioned as a suspect, but he then went on to suggest a suspect who, in England at least, had not been mentioned up to that point. Littlechild wrote, amongst the suspects, and to my mind, a very likely one, was a Dr. T, who was a American quack named Tumblety. Hold the friggin' phone. That's interesting. Dr. T, who is an American quack. Okay, interesting. He then went on to inform Sims that Tumblety had been arrested for unnatural offenses, that he had been remanded on bail, that he had subsequently jumped bail and escaped to Bologna? Is it Boulone?
Sure.
Okay. After which nothing has ever heard from him again, indeed, according to Littlechild. It was believed he committed suicide, but certain it is that from that time, the Ripper murders came to an end.
Huh.
So wait a second.
That Tumblety, like, I know that name from somewhere.
Right, but just think about this, though. Let's just go on the theory that, H.H. Holmes had another alias.
Yeah.
Dr. Tumblety came to town, was a physician.
Mm-hmm.
American, obviously, because he didn't have an accent. And all of a sudden, he just disappears.
Goes back home.
Weird. And was never heard of again. They just assumed that he killed himself.
I mean,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard Stranger Things.
That's
interesting.
I know I've heard that name before, but I don't.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that was from Jeff Mudgett or if that was.
I'm not sure, but let's continue. Right? He gets into a little bit more. However, contrary to Littlechild's assertion that he disappeared and probably committed suicide, Tumblety was most certainly heard from again, having made it to Bologna. I'm just saying Bologna, whatever. Tumblety sailed to New York And on landing, soon had the American press hot on his trail in relation to his possible connection to the Whitechapel murders. From the moment of his arrival in New York, the New York Police Department also took an interest in him. Tumblety was kept under surveillance by Inspector Barnes of Barnes, I don't know, of the New York Police, right? Questioned by journalists as he kept watch on Tumbledee's lodging about whether or not Tumblety would be returning to London to be questioned about Jack the Ripper murders. There is no proof on this. Tumbledee's complicity in the Whitechapel murders and the crime for which he was under bond in London is not extraditable. Oh, shit.
Damn.
So, well, here's the thing.
Sounds like he knew the law.
Sounds like it, right? So, here's the theory, right? What if old H.H. Holmes went over there around the same time as Tumblety, stole his name, and
anything's possible, but like
anything is possible. Anyway, no, I think
you had to have known him or something.
Yeah, I would say now that's actually starting to be a little bit of a stretch because
yeah,
if there was actually somebody they traced in America and stuff, it probably wasn't that guy. So
yeah,
but it'd be cool. Nice connection, right?
Yeah.
A claim often made to back up Tumbledee's possible involvement in Jack the Ripper murders is that he is known for have collected medical specimens, including uteri.
Yeah. Well, the uterus wasn't the uterus removed in one or two of the killings.
Yeah, 2 at least. But there is scant evidence to suggest that he ever did. The allegations that he did was made by Colonel C.S. Dunham to the Williamsport Sunday Grit, in which he mentioned being a guest at a dinner at which he had witnessed Tumblety fiercely denounce all women, and especially fallen women. What are fallen women?
Probably women that are not of stature. You know, women that are on hard times.
They did have a name for him, didn't they? On the lower end, so that's probably what it was. Dunham went on to mention that Tumblety had taken his guests to his office, where he showed them a dozen or more jars containing utero of every class of women. That's gross.
This is my favorite.
Favorite.
Look, you can dance.
But that's gross. But Dunham's veracity is, to say the least, questionable. He himself was a known confidence trickster who only made his claims after press allegations had linked Tumblety to the Whitechapel murders. It is therefore highly possible, if not likely, that he made the story up in order to cash in on Tumblety's sudden notoriety. That makes sense. 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
Another oft-quoted piece of evidence, again, against Tumblety, is that people who knew him thought he was the killer. Wow. There's another one. Again, is mere hearsay. Some of them might have thought so, but others were adamant that he wasn't. Okay, good. One woman who was most certainly didn't think he was capable of his crimes and was his New York landlady, Mrs. McNamara, who was quoted in the New York Herald as saying that Dr. Tumblety is a perfect gentleman. He wouldn't hurt anybody. You know who else was a perfect gentleman? H.H. Holmes.
Oh, yeah, him too.
It's not the same person. Anyways, it's always the quiet ones, right?
Yeah.
A fair case for Tumblety's involvement in Jack the Ripper's murders is a fairly weak one. Moreover, there is no concrete evidence that he ever visited Whitechapel, and he most certainly bore no resemblance to the description given by those who made it. Dude.
Yeah, we didn't hear it, so.
Sorry. Let me just try that again. Moreover, there is no concrete evidence that he ever visited Whitechapel, and he most certainly bore no resemblance to the descriptions given by those who may have seen the killer's face. Dude, what if he was under a different alias?
It could happen.
Like that one chick threw that other gal's name around. Like, I'm so-and-so.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nuts if he was just like, yeah, I'm Dr. Tumblety? Because H.H. Holmes wasn't a doctor, and he wouldn't say Holmes because he had some crazy stuff going on back in the States.
Yeah.
That would be wild, wouldn't it?
Hey,
Man,
he did have a lot of heat on him. I'm
right.
sure word would spread, especially if he boarded a boat and was going overseas. They probably would have been like, "All right, we need to send word."
Yeah, because the doctors, or not the doctors, the police, the only thing they had was his name.
Yeah.
I mean, the description wasn't anything. And if the person who came over here by a different name wasn't that person, they couldn't accurately say it was them.
Like, let me guess. He was about yay high, had a mustache and brown hair.
Literally, dude. Like, what
That's
American doesn't
everybody.
sound like that? Yeah. Okay. Furthermore, 3 years later, after receiving little child's letter, George Sims wrote his own autobiography and made no mention of Tumbletee's having been Jack the Ripper, but stuck to his original belief that it was Dr. D theory. And the police didn't suspect him, so that was the final nail in the coffin. They were just like, nah, it's not him, it's not viable, whatever. So maybe it was a different alias that somebody else was using.
Possibly somebody that, I mean, all you would really have to do if you have medical background and you knew that, like, if you killed somebody that they would identify that, yeah, this took surgical skill to do this. If you're going to go with an alias, why not go with a doctor in the area? Just,
literally.
So interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I would say.
All right. So the next one we're going to go over is James Maybrick. This is interesting. In my nose is so stuffed.
Go blow it.
I've been blowing it. I think it's just like irritating it.
Your allergies are setting in.
Yeah.
It's getting later in the night. Your body's not fighting it off as much.
And I'm tired.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
In 1992, Michael Barrett, a former Liverpool scrap metal merchant, produced a journal which he claimed had been given to him by a friend, Tony Devereaux, in a pub the previous year.
Huh.
Although the author of the diary doesn't actually identify himself by name, it is quite obvious from various persons' personal references and from other information contained within the journal that the diarist is meant to be the Liverpool cotton merchant James Maybrick. Maybrick died in May of 1889, and shortly after his death, his wife Florence was arrested and charged with murdering him by poisoning him with arsenic. Man. In the diary, the author makes the claim that he had seen his wife, whom calls the bitch or the whore in the pages of the diary, with her unnamed lover in the Whitechapel district of Liverpool.
Wow.
The subsequent rage that he experienced following this sighting sent him on a murderous rampage in the Whitechapel district of London, in the course of which he mutilated and killed 5 prostitutes.
Sorry, that was really dark. Oof. I wasn't laughing at that, I swear. I was laughing at something else somebody sent me.
Oh.
Sorry.
So he in this diary claiming to be the murderer, apparently.
Wow.
The journal contains a somewhat long-winded description of the murders before ending with the assertion, I give my name that all know of me, so history do tell what love can do to a gentleman born. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Up until the emergence of the diary, there had never been any suggestions that James Maybrick may have been Jack the Ripper, and the only real evidence against him as a suspect is his own supposed confession in the pages of his diary. So his viability as a Jack the Ripper suspect comes down to whether or not he wrote the diary, and if he did, does what he write about his crimes correspond with the known facts? It has to be said that the provenance of the diary has proved a hugely dividing issue amongst ripperologists, and thus the path of proving the guilt or innocence of James Maybrick as a viable Jack the Ripper suspect has been anything but straightforward. The first reaction from experts on examining the diary was encouraging. Several of them agreed that, if nothing else, it was most certainly of the correct period to have been written by James Maybrick. But they also made it plain that a far more thorough forensic analysis was needed in order to establish exactly when the journal was written, and it was at this point that the scientific data became somewhat blurred and contradictory. A further setback to establishing the authenticity of the diary came when Michael Barrett informed the Liverpool Post that he had, in fact, forged the diary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. However, he then withdrew his confession, and, in addition, his wife, from whom he was by then separated, said that the diary had, in fact, been in her family's possession since the Second World War. So the jury is still very much out on whether or not the diary's authenticity has been scientifically proven. So how about the actual details about the crimes that are contained within the pages of the diary? Do they demonstrate the author did indeed have firsthand knowledge that could have only been known to the perpetrator of Jack the Ripper crimes? Well, in one word, no.
No.
No. It is apparent on close scrutiny of the diary that many of the descriptions of the crimes and crime scenes are actually taken from press reports and later accounts of the Jack the Ripper murders, and that because of this, the journal replicates some of the widespread inaccuracies and errors with regards to the Jack the Ripper murders.
Interesting.
Again, note with Barrett from last week. Oh, yeah, the guy that saw the...
Yeah.
Interesting. Meh.
Yeah, same.
As far as the murder of Mary Kelly goes, for example, the author gloats over how he placed parts of her body all over her room and goes into sickening details of how he had cut off her breasts and, having kissed them for a while, he set them down upon the bedside table. The idea of... Huh? The best.
Oh, God. Weirdo.
Oh, yeah, the Constable Barrett. That's what he was.
Yeah.
The idea of Mary Kelly's body parts being spread all over the room, or in some counts being hung around the walls like Christmas decorations, is most certainly not the case, and there is no denying the fact that the murder scene inside 13 Miller's Court was horrific, but the mutilated body parts were, on the whole, confined to the bed and its immediate vicinity, and had most certainly not been strewed or even strung around the room. Indeed, the police and other official reports make it obvious that this was demonstrably not the case. Likewise, her breasts were not placed on the bedside table, as it is stated by the diarist, but were in fact found beneath her body. That's a weird place to put them.
Yeah, that's a bit strange. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Ooh.
Those are just two examples of common fallacies and misconceptions concerning the scenes of his crime, and which therefore suggests the diary was not written from the authors having any firsthand experience of the crime scenes, but rather from him or her having read inaccurate accounts. There is, however, another intriguing piece of memorabilia that links Maybrick to the Jack the Ripper crimes. Oh, man. In 1993, Albert Johnson purchased an antique gold watch on the inside of which he found scratched the initials of Jack the Ripper's 5 victims, together the signature J. Maybrick and the words, "I am Jack." As with the diary, the watch has been subjected to scientific analysis, and the scratches have been found to be compatible with the period 1888 to 1889, although these findings have been disputed.
I was going to say, if you know the names, which could be easily accessible if you go look them up, whatever, or if you're around and they're on headlines.
Yeah,
someone wants to be famous, they could be psychotic and just do that.
Oh yeah, like I'm going to make a name for myself, one way or another. People are going to know my name.
Yeah, by claiming to be something that I'm not.
Right. But the sudden appearance of the watch so soon after the diary was made public aroused a great deal of suspicion.
No,
and whereas
all right.
Wait, ew.
Ew.
Whereas it is possible that they were both created at the same time, their usefulness in proving Maybrick's guilt depends on proving that they are genuine, and this has never been satisfactorily done. So I kind of feel like somebody just wanted to be able to say, I have proof of Jack the Ripper. I'm going to be famous. So they like created this whole elaborate journal or something, and like, here you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because yeah, I mean, because all you're gonna have to go on is what was in the newspapers.
Yep, that's wild.
Yeah, cray. That's it.
Okay, so we'll get
A lot.
into Walter Sickert. Okay, the name of Walter Sickert has been linked to the Jack the Ripper murders by several authors, and over the years, his role in the killings have been said to have varied enormously. According to the authors, he was an accomplice in the Whitechapel murders, whilst others have depicted him as knowing who was responsible for the crimes and duly informing on them. But according to the crime novelist Patricia Cornwall in her 2002 book Portrait of a Killer, Jack the Ripper, Case Closed, Sickert was in fact the man who carried out the crimes that became known as the Jack the Ripper murders. Interesting. As a successful and wealthy novelist, Cornwell was not restricted by the constraints of budget when she set out to hunt down history's most notorious serial killer. Where is it at? All right. She set out to do something that few, if any, other ripperologists had been either able or inclined to do.
Hey, real quick, while you're reading this, I'm gonna go get some medicine real quick
Probably a good idea.
for my face.
Yep. Namely, apply modern forensics techniques to the Jack the Ripper case, and in doing so, solve once and for all the world's greatest murder mystery. Dang it. Hold on. Thought I felt a hair on my mic. Maybe not. Maybe it's what I'm eating. Nope, there it is. I see it. It's a long blonde. Wish I had one of those. Anyways. Stupid, I know. When her book was published, it caused a worldwide sensation, and the spotlight was turned to both Cornwall herself and on her suspect, which quoted, "I do believe 100%, she told the U.S. Chat Show, that Walter Richard Sickert committed those serial crimes." According to Cornwell's theory, Walter Sickert had been made impotent by a series of painful childhood operations for a fistula of the penis. Ow. Ow. I can't even imagine. Like, I know where I've heard the term fistula from, and I couldn't imagine it being on the opposite side. Ooh. This impotency had scarred him emotionally, and had left him with a pathological hatred of women, which in time led him to carry out a series of murders in the East End of London, which became known as the Jack the Ripper murders. So we're just jumping to conclusions now, huh? Doubts were raised about her story when it was pointed out that St. Mark's Hospital, where the operation on the young Sickert were supposedly performed, specialists in rectal as opposed to genital, or specialized, or wait, Sickert were supposedly performed, specialized in rectal as opposed to genital. Okay, that's why I was saying, like, I've heard the other one, but not that one. That is interesting. It was also pointed out that the evidence suggested that Sickert was anything but impotent. Indeed, his first wife had divorced him, citing his adultery in her petition for divorce. In addition, he is believed to have had several mistresses and is thought to have fathered at least one illegitimate child. I got around. So the case for Sickert being impotent appears to be non-existent. So what evidence is there to suggest that Sickert possessed a pathological hatred of women? Again, not a great deal. In Portrait of a Killer, Cornwell cites a series of Sickert's paintings that were inspired by the murder in 1908 of a Camden Town prostitute by the name of Emily Dimmock. According to Patricia Cornwell's hypothesis, this series of pictures bears a striking resemblance to the postmodern photographs of the victims of Jack the Ripper. Now, there is little doubt that Sickert was fascinated by murder and in finding different ways in which to depict the menace of the crime and the criminal. But to cite this as evidence that he was actually a murderer, and specifically the murderer who carried out the Jack the Ripper killings, is hardly definitive proof. Can we place him in the area? When looking at a particular Jack the Ripper suspect, or any murder suspect for that matter, you need to be able to link your suspect with the crime. You need to, for example, be able to place them at the scene of the crime. Here again, the case against Sickert unravels slightly, since there is evidence to suggest that he may not even have been in England when the murders were committed. A number of letters from several family members refer to him holidaying in France for a period that corresponds with most of the Jack the Ripper murders. Although it has been suggested that he might have traveled to London in order to commit the murders and then traveled to France, no evidence has been produced to suggest that he did so. Cornwell also contends that Sickert was responsible for writing most of Jack the Ripper correspondence, and frequently used the statements made in those letters to strengthen her case against him. Authorities on the case, as well as the police at the time, nearly all share the opinion that none of the letters, not even the Dear Boss missive that gave him his name, were the work of the killer. In addition, there is the problem that the style of letters varies so greatly in grammatical structure, spelling and handwriting, that is almost impossible for a single author to have created all of them. Get close. In her quest to prove Sickert's guilt, Cornwell also funded DNA tests on numerous stamps and envelopes which she believed that Sickert had licked, and compared that DNA to that found on ripped letters. Interestingly, a possible match was found with the stamp on Dr. Openshaw letter. Critics, however, have pointed out that the DNA comparisons focused on the mitochondrial DNA, which could have shared by anything between 1 and 10% of the population, so it was hardly unique to Sickert. Another intriguing find was the Dr. Openshaw letter, to other Jack the Ripper letters, and 8 letters penned by Walter Sickert were all written on paper that bore the watermark of the Aberdeen paper manufacturer Alexander Peary Sons, whatever, I don't know how you say that. But dissenters argue that the paper was widely available, at that the Sickert letters were written between 1885 and 1887, that he probably wasn't using the paper in 1888. Sickert may have been responsible for writing some of the Jack the Ripper correspondence, but since it is generally agreed that none of the letters was written by the murderer, it only makes him guilty by having written hoax letters. The claim that he was guilty of the Whitechapel murders is far from proven, and the Jack the Ripper case is anything but closed. It is interesting. It's, just interesting. I don't know if I would... it's the same thing with the Zodiac killers. We have all these letters coming in, so it's like, how do you know what's real? How do you know it's not?
Right. There's so much. Well, with all these suspects, like there's like a little piece here that connects them, and a little piece here that connects them, and it's like even I don't think we need to go through all of these people here. Like I'll just talk like Charles Cross. You know,
Right.
his I don't know how to call it, like suspicion on him is more about about his whereabouts, and because of his connection to the murders, like he was in the vicinity when one of them happened, and some things didn't line up, and I guess he got accosted by somebody around the time one of the murders happened.
Yeah, so I think we could definitely move forward to the newer, or the final one.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that one. You want me to read it?
Yeah, and then I'll read the article.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to move up to Aaron Kaminsky, the Unabomber.
And Kelly, that's okay. We still love you. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. So what McNaughton said, according to Melvin McNaughton in his 1894 memoranda, was one of 3 men who was more likely than Thomas Cutbush to have been Jack the Ripper was Kaminsky, who, according to McNaughton, was a Polish Jew and resident in Whitechapel. This man became insane owing to many years' indulgence in solitary vices. He had a great hatred of women, especially of the prostitute class, and had strong homicidal tendencies. He was removed to a lunatic asylum about March 1889. Um, Kaminsky is of particular interest because, in addition to McNaughton, the two highest ranking officers with direct responsibility for Jack the Ripper investigation also considered him to be a strong suspect for the Jack the Ripper murders. Um, in 1910, Sir Robert Anderson, assistant commissioner throughout the murders, wrote in his memoirs that undiscovered murders are rare in London, and the Jack the Ripper crimes are not in that category. I will merely add that the only person to have ever had a good view of the murderer unhesitate, unhesitantly, whatever.
I get it. Trust me.
To identify the suspect the instant he was confronted with him, but he refused to give evidence against him. In saying that he was a Polish Jew, I am merely stating a definitely ascertained fact. Okay. Although Anderson didn't name his suspect, it is apparent that he was referring to McNaughton's Kaminsky, a fact confirmed in 1987 when Chief Inspector Donald Swanson's copy of Anderson's memoir was made public. Swanson was the officer tasked with assessing all the information on Jack the Ripper, and few people possessed anything like his comprehensive knowledge of the murders. He and Anderson became firm friends, and when Anderson's memoir entitled The Lighter Side of My Official Life was published, Swanson received his own personally inscribed copy. Okay. Swanson made penciled annotations to Anderson's narrative, and in so doing provided a little more information. Where Anderson talks of a witness unhesitantly identifying their suspect but refusing to give evidence against him, Swanson explains that this was because the suspect was also a Jew, and witness would be the means of murder being hanged, which he did not wish to be left on his mind. So basically, he didn't want to be guilty of having another man killed. He goes on to say,
he didn't want to be guilty of another man being killed that was Jewish.
Yeah. He goes on to say that following this identification, the suspect was returned to his brother's house in Whitechapel, where the city police kept him under constant surveillance. A short time later, this suspect was taken to Stepney Workhouse, and from there he was sent to Colney Hatch Lunatic Asylum, where, according to Swanson, he died shortly afterwards. Swanson ends with the emphatic statement that Kaminsky was the suspect. So who was Kaminsky?
Great question.
It is not known that the suspect in question was a man named Aaron Kaminsky, a Polish-born immigrant whose father, Abraham, was a tailor, an occupation that Aaron's brother Isaac would also take up. As far as can be ascertained, Isaac arrived in London at some stage between 1871 and 1873, where he became a successful and prosperous tailor. We don't know exactly when Aaron arrived in London, but it may have been around 1880 to 1881. We know virtually nothing about Aaron's life in London. His later medical records state his occupation as hairdresser, but it was also stated that he had not attempted any work for years. Now, I do want to point out that back then, barbers were considered doctors. So,
yeah,
I do want to point that fact out.
Which is nuts.
Yeah. There is one brief glimpse of him in the public record around the time of the Whitechapel murders. In December of 1889, he was one of several people who were summoned to appear at the Guildhall Court in the city of London for having unmuzzled dogs on public thoroughfare. Okay. By mid-1890, he was displaying symptoms of mental illness and was admitted to Mile End Old Town Workhouse in July of 1890. His address was given as 3 Sion Square. His stay on this his stay on this occasion was a relatively short one, and he was discharged 3 days later. Uh, he was readmitted in early 1891. His abode this time being given as we don't need that, which was the home of his brother-in-law Morris Lubnowski, who was married to Aaron's sister Matilda. This time he was certified as insane, and in February of 1891, he was transferred to the Middlesex County Lunatic Asylum at Colney Hatch. The admission book gives his age as 26, his occupation as hairdresser. The supposed cause of his insanity is listed as unknown, although self-abuse was later added. And his nearest known relative was listed as Wolf Abrahams, his brother. Um, Significantly, the admission book states that he was not a danger to others, which, if there was a certainty that he had been Jack the Ripper, would have been something of a major omission. So the admission book also lists the following facts about him, which are attributed to a medical man. He declares that he is guided and his movements altogether controlled by an instinct that informs his mind. He says that he knows the movements of all mankind. He refuses food from others because he is told to do so, and he eats out of the gutter for the same reason.
Maybe his immune system must be off the chain.
Yeah.
Gross. Unlike Kelly's, which Kelly, I'm glad to hear you're doing better. It seems like you're doing better, but she said she spent a week in the hospital with the flu, so hopefully you're doing better.
Oof. Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
It's that time of year, you know, stuff's going around.
So this was from a witness at the insane asylum.
Oh yeah, tuberculosis is going around. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty wild. Anyways.
So the witness says he goes about the streets and picks up bits of bread out of the gutter and eats them. He drinks water from the tap and he refuses food at the hands of others. He took up a knife and threatened the life of his sister. He is very dirty and will not be washed. He has not attempted any kind of work for years. Aaron Kaminsky would spend just over 3 years at Colney Hatch, where he was described at various times as being extremely deluded and morose, rather difficult to deal with on an account of the dominant character of his delusions, incoherent, apathetic, excitable, indolent but quiet, and clean in habits, and also dull and vacant. 1894, he was transferred to another asylum where he would spend the remaining 25 years of his life, dying in 1919.
Wild.
Schizophrenic, delusional, paranoid, and incoherent are all characteristics displayed by Aaron Kaminsky, but there are numerous arguments against his having been Jack the Ripper. Swanson apparently knew little about his fate, as Kaminsky didn't, as Swanson claimed, die shortly after being admitted to Colney Hatch. In fact, he lived for many more years, transferring to the other asylum where he died. Throughout the entire period of his confinement, Aaron Kaminsky was never classed as homicidal, and it is specifically stated in his records that he was not a danger to others. Some of his notes state that he was excitable, but the only mention of his being violent was that he once grabbed a chair and made to strike an attendant with it. So no conclusive proof yet. Anderson and Swanson were the two highest-ranking officers with direct responsibility for the Ripper investigation, and they were both in a position to know the evidence against all the suspects. Yet, unless they are referring to a different Kaminsky, or there is more information about him that has yet to come to light, there is little evidence to link Aaron Kaminsky to Jack the Ripper murders.
Yet.
And that's where it ends on here.
All right, so an article came out literally at the beginning, well, the mid section of January.
Yes, Kelly.
What?
Or not the same. That's Kaczynski and this one's Kaminsky. It's a couple letters.
Oh, Robert Kaczynski. Oh, yeah. Then you have Krasinski, the actor. All right. So let's get into the article, shall we? This comes from CBS News. Title is Jack the Ripper victim's relative demands new inquest after possible DNA breakthrough, a form of justice. A descendant of one of Jack the Ripper's victims has demanded a new inquest into one of history's most notorious serial killers, after DNA evidence suggested that the murderer was a Polish barber. The true identity of Jack the Ripper, whose grisly murders terrorized the murky slums of Whitechapel in East London in 1888. Cool, don't know, don't care. After extracting DNA from the shawl recovered from the scene of one of the killings, Jack the Ripper's sleuth Russell Edwards claimed in 2014 that the murderer was Aaron Kosminski, an immigrant from Poland, immigrant essentially, who worked as a barber. The story goes that the shawl came from the murder scene of the Ripper's fourth victim, Catherine Eddowes, on September 30th, 1888. At Edwards' request, Dr. Jari Luhelainen, a senior lecturer at Liverpool John Moores University, isolated 7 small segments of DNA from the bloodstains on the shawl. They were matched with the DNA of Karen Miller, a direct descendant of Eddowes, confirming her blood was on the shawl. On the testing, the first results showed a 99.2 match. Since the DNA was complementary strands, we went on and tested the DNA strand, or the other DNA strands, which game a perfect 100%. Okay. Luhelainen told the Liverpool Echo newspaper. DNA from the semen strain on the garment were matched with the descendant of Kosminski. What? Ooh. Edward has demanded an inquest into the unsolved killing, saying the DNA evidence warrants it. Miller backed the call in an interview with the Daily Mail published on Monday. The name Jack the Ripper has become sensationalized. It has gone down in history as this famous character, she told the paper. People have forgotten about the victims who did not have justice at the time. Now we need this inquest to legally name the killer. Miller added, having Miller added, having the real person legally named in court, which can consider all the evidence, would be a form of justice for the victims. Kosminski's descendants have also supported the inquest. The Daily Mail reported, according to the newspaper, Kosminski's great-great-great niece, Amanda Polis, said, "I'm more than happy to finally establish what really happened." Some have cast doubts on Edwards' findings. The research has not been published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, meaning the claims cannot be independently verified or the methodology scrutinized. Under the law, it is up to the Attorney General to approve further inquests. 2 years ago, then the Attorney General, Michael Ellis, refused the request, saying there was not enough evidence. Miller said on Monday the time was right to reopen the case. It would mean a lot to my family, to a lot of people, to finally have this crime solved. She added, Kosminski was born in Klodawa, however you say that in Polish terms. Basically going to his, we already know about his his history. But here's the thing. This lady, what's her name? The victim.
Yeah.
What is her name?
Eddowes.
She was a prostitute.
Yeah.
Could it possibly be that he was just one of her clients that night?
It's a very good, distinct possibility.
So how do we know that means he's the murderer or not?
We don't know. It doesn't.
So for people to jump to the fact that he is the murderer.
Yeah.
There's no proof to suggest that. You're just jumping to claims because of DNA. Now, if it was a record that she only had one client that night, yeah, I could believe it. But there's not. So there's a good chance that this dude got his rocks off, and then 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 an hour, 2, whatever later is when she was killed by somebody else.
So next week, this is makes a good segue. So next week we are going to actually take a look into the evidence surrounding these murders, and we might be able to make some kind of links. I mean, obviously, we're not scientists or detectives, but I think we can come up with our own conclusions. With this being said, but right now we have what could appear as a smoking gun in the whole case. But like you said, maybe he was a client.
And that's the thing, you know, he could have been the murderer. He could have been the murderer, but you also have to play, what is it?
Devil's advocate.
Yeah, and just be like, well, maybe he was just a client of hers that night.
Yeah. So, yeah, the dive into the evidence.
He was a doctor. He could, or not a doctor. He was a barber. He could probably afford it.
Yeah. And these prostitutes, they didn't have much money anyway.
No.
So they died with very little.
Pretty much took on whoever and whatever.
Yeah. So next week we'll dive into the evidence, see what comes up, and we'll try to piece some of this puzzle together and see what happens.
Absolutely. It'll be very interesting.
All right, guys.
Very, very
thank you guys for sticking around for this long. And
3-parter. Can you believe it? We haven't done a 3-parter since H.H. Holmes.
Dude, that wasn't even a 3-parter. That was.
I would say it's a 3-parter because Jeff Mudgett was like a continuation of it.
Did we do a 3-parter on H.H.?
Yeah. Wait, did we?
Before Mudgett?
Holy snap! I think you're right.
This is our first 3-parter.
Wow. Our first 3. Wow.
Yeah.
First 3, and you guys are here to see it. Look at that.
And we appreciate you for sticking around this long.
We do. We know it's late.
Make sure you like the video for us. It helps the algorithm. Helps us
please.
Get seen by more people and things like that.
Yes.
If any of you are following Ghosted, there will be a tip video coming out this Friday.
What?
The first one. So be on the lookout for that. As well as another video that'll be coming out sometime soon on an investigation. So thank you guys for being with us.
Yes, thank you guys so much. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see y'all next week, same time, same place, and enjoy yourselves. Have a great week.
Lights out.